George, nice to see you this morning. I know you've had a chance to read through many of these texts. I want to start with one that was just highlighted right there. Jason Miller with this draft tweet on January 6th, during the insurrection itself, suggesting that the former president blamed Antifa and the media for what's going on. What do you see here?
Just the instinct, the first instinct is to lie. You know, they had the big lie, and then it caused the drama on Capitol Hill and the damage on Capitol Hill. And then the first instinct is, again, just to lie. They had no evidence that bad apples, likely Antifa or crazed leftists, were causing disruption on Capitol Hill. In fact, everybody who was texting Meadows, everyone else who was texting Meadows was saying, you've got to get the president out here because these are his people, in essence. And the first instinct, Jason Miller, you know, what do we have Trump say? Well, a lie, because that's what the boss does, and that's what we do for the boss.
And George, I wonder what you made of the text message from Ivanka Trump on November 5th, saying that they are warriors of epic proportions, telling them to keep the faith, keep the fight. She said, you are all warriors, in all caps. Keep the faith, keep the fight. What do you read into that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess she was being some kind of a cheerleader. I don't know that she knew anything about whether or not there was fraud or whether or not there was a basis to fight. But she was just being just a cheerleader. And again, they didn't care about the substance. They didn't care to wait for the results, and they didn't care to wait for an investigation to see whether or not there was evidence of fraud. You know, their instinct was to just, we're going to make something up or we're going to find something. And that's what Ivanka Trump's texts show there.
You know, George, you brought up what Mark Meadows was being told from Republicans, many of them on Capitol Hill during the insurrection. Notes from people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying to him, Mark, I was just told there's an active shooter on the first floor of the Capitol. Please tell the president to calm people. This isn't the way to solve anything. I think we got pictures of this. That's from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Mick Mulvaney says he needs to stop this now. Can I do anything to help? Barry Loudermilk says this doesn't help our cause. Congressman William Timmons says the president needs to stop this immediately. Donald Trump Jr. says he's got to condemn this shit ASAP. You know, what does that tell you about what these people know at the time, George?
It tells us what we all knew at the time, what everyone knew at the time, what's undeniable and what they've since decided to basically whitewash, which is the person responsible for what happened on January 6th is Donald John Trump. He was the man who lied for months and set these people in motion, convinced them that there was something to fight about, convinced them that their country was being stolen, the election was being stolen, and he spun them up. And the only person who could unspin them, if he was inclined to do it, was Donald J. Trump, and they all knew that.
I honestly don't know why Elon would want to own Twitter, all right? It just doesn't seem like a fun place to supervise right now. You know, it's like buying Jurassic Park after the power went down and the cages are opened.
Imagine having so much money, you think it's a good idea to buy hell.
Said he wants to transform Twitter as a platform for free speech around the globe. Yeah, that's a problem with Twitter. No one can say what they think. They're holding back.
Elon Musk's $44 billion purchase of Twitter was getting roasted by late-night host, but there are real questions about how the platform will change under the new owner. Still with us this morning is George Conway. And so, George, I do wonder, what do you think Twitter is going to look like with Elon Musk as the owner?
I honestly don't know. I just wonder what people... I'm amazed how stirred up people are about it, because I don't know what it is they think that he is going to do that is going to be so bad. I mean, he's spending, I don't know, what, $44 billion or whatever the number was to buy this thing. He's not going to destroy it, I assume. Maybe he will, in which case we'll all go out and find someplace else to express our views. It's not I don't see what the big deal is, frankly. If he wants to spend that money, more power to him.
Well, one of the things could be, George, and you know, you, I think, applauded when Twitter took Donald Trump off of the platform. He could allow the former president to go back on.
Yeah, he could, and you know, I would prefer that they don't allow him to go back on, because I think he's a menace and I think he's a liar. I think he spreads disinformation. On the other hand, he's still there, and the fundamental problem is, you know, that he's still in our public life, which is the fault not of of any social media policy. And it wouldn't be Elon Musk's fault if he let Trump back on, which I oppose. It's the fault of the United States Senate, which had the opportunity and the constitutional obligation to bar him from holding federal office ever again. That's who the responsibility for any ongoing damage that Trump causes to our country resides in. It resides with the Republicans in the United States Senate who refused to bar him from public office by acquitting him at the impeachment trial in 2021.
One last question back in the text, George. These are texts that Mark Meadows willingly, more or less, handed over to the January 6th committee. There's still a whole bunch of text messages and information he's keeping from them. And isn't it fair to wonder? I mean, if this is the stuff he didn't think that was as bad, what's in the stuff that he thinks might be bad?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, according to the record produced by the report produced by the House January 6th committee in seeking a contempt citation against Meadows, they said that there were basically 1,000 more texts that Meadows claimed executive privilege or attorney-client privilege, and there's no basis for that. I mean, Trump lost the case against the GSA in December and January, which means there's no executive privilege here. And as far as attorney-client privilege is concerned, well, who is the client? If it's Donald Trump personally, well, Meadows worked for the United States of America. He was chief of staff of the White House. If it's the campaign, same thing. He was chief of staff of the White House. He had no business engaging in any activity that wasn't activity for the interests of the United States of America and not Donald Trump. And so, any attorney-client privilege which belongs to Trump or to the campaign doesn't, it's broken because of the information, if the information was shared with Meadows. So there's no basis for privilege at all. So you do really have to wonder what's in those unproduced, hidden texts.
George Conway, great to see you. Thank you so much.